Welcome to another edition of Begley's Mailbag here on SNY.TV. I'm Ian Begley, SNY's NBA insider, and we're here to answer your questions about the Knicks and the NBA. And we're going to start off here with a lineup question. Jacob Talks Ball wants to know, what do you think the closing lineups in the fourth quarter will look like in the games towards the end of this regular season and into the playoffs? And I took a look at the numbers, and one of the most often fourth quarter lineups Tom Thibodeau has used of late has included actually Isaiah Hartenstein, and it's included obviously Josh Hart, but also RJ Barrett. And there's that decision Tom Thibodeau has to make kind of surrounds RJ Barrett, and it surrounds Emmanuel Quickley, and it surrounds Quentin Grimes. And usually you see one of those three out of the lineup in closing minutes. We are filming here on Tuesday after the Knicks lost to the Timberwolves at home, and RJ Barrett was not on the floor in the closing minutes of that game. So Thibodeau has a decision to make night in and night out. I think Hartenstein's fourth quarter minutes are more a product of him being early in the fourth quarter on the floor. Thibodeau does go back to Mitchell Robinson, although Hartenstein has seen time later in fourth quarters more recently. So it seems like those are the decisions Thibodeau makes here. Josh Hart's going to be on the floor. Jalen Brunson's going to be on the floor. Julius Randle's going to be on the floor. Mitchell Robinson probably is going to be on the floor. And what does he do with that other spot? RJ Barrett, Emmanuel Quickley, Quentin Grimes. I would think that he leans towards Barrett, but he's really been open to any different combination based on matchups and based on how the game has flowed. So that's a situation where he seems to be making decisions on a nightly basis. Got one here from Diehard Knicks PC. Says the Knicks have won or tied the season series with all Eastern Conference rivals except the Bucks and the Raptors. And with that being said, is it a stretch to feel confident this team can make it to the finals, possibly win it all? I would say that's a stretch at the risk of being called out in late June when the Knicks are having a parade in Manhattan. I think that is a stretch to think that this team can make it to the finals, win the finals. But I will say this, I mean, the depth that this club has, Josh Hart talks about it all the time. The idea that they have starting caliber players coming off of their bench, and they have players who can defend multiple positions as starters and coming off the bench. There's depth, there's versatility. This team defends, and it's very physical. So I think there are a number of teams around the league who look at this Knicks team and say, I'd like to avoid them in the first round. Even if I win the series, I know it's going to be a battle, and I know I'm going to be really banged up after that first round series going into the second round series. So I'd rather not play the Knicks because of those factors. And I think that's what leads you to feel good about this team going into the playoffs in any series because of the depth, because of the defensive ability. I think it's a stretch to see them getting into the finals and winning the finals. I think that is a stretch. But the idea that they can contend in these playoffs, win a series, get to the second round, I don't think that's a stretch at all. Got a query here from Andrew Abraham. Andrew wants to know, do you believe Obi Toppin will privately request a trade this summer because he is getting limited time and he wants a bigger role? I don't love speculating on that stuff, especially when it's something as sensitive as a trade request from Obi Toppin. I do think that when you looked at this trade deadline, right, I think there was the idea that teams saw Toppin as a player who was not fully, utilized, that there could be more there from Obi Toppin, and that's where the interest was when teams had called Toppin about the Knicks, particularly the Indiana Pacers. There was interest there. And so you look in this offseason when Toppin is extension eligible, I think the Knicks have to ask themselves the question, is this Obi Toppin's top trade value at the moment, and do we act with that in mind, or is there a way for us to extend him where we feel good about it, it's a team-friendly extension, and Obi Toppin feels good about it? I think those are the two avenues there. But to me, I mean, Obi Toppin's role, there's not a clear path for him to get more minutes. You said it, Andrew. It's clear as day right now with Julius Randle here playing the way he's played. Obi Toppin is not going to be playing 30 minutes a night unless there's an injury. So is Toppin comfortable with that? Does he want a bigger role, and maybe something behind the scenes could take place there where everybody gets together and decides what's best for Obi Toppin, what's best for the Knicks, and maybe they send him somewhere. But, it's a lot of conjecture, a lot of what ifs. At the moment, I think Toppin has played his role very well for this Knicks team, even though maybe he's frustrated with the minutes, maybe he isn't. Whatever he is, he's played pretty well for this Knicks team in that limited role. He's knocked down shots, and they've needed those points in these games. So I think at the moment, it's all fitting pretty well for the team and the organization. Got a question here from Aito, and Aito wants to know, why is it not possible for RJ Barrett to ever get better as a player? And should the Knicks trade him for someone who has tons of potential, like maybe a Cam Reddish or a Sam Merrill? Very funny. Aito is clearly trolling. I think the kids call it trolling. Funny from Aito. I think that fans are passionate, and I respect fans' passion, no matter which way it goes. But with RJ Barrett, there's a lot of people get upset on social media night in, night out if he plays poorly. But seeing the big picture with him, I really think that whatever his upside is, whatever his potential is, he's going to get there because of the way he approaches the game. I think you've seen him be more effective in recent weeks here on both sides of the ball. And so I think if you're going to be a championship contending team, you're going to need a player like RJ Barrett who can give you something on both ends, who can knock a shot down, who could drive to the basket, who has the tools to be a good defender. So I don't think it's necessary for the Knicks or fans to give up on RJ Barrett on a nightly basis, because regardless of whether he's going to be a multi-time All-Star, whether he's a number 1, number 2, number 3, you're going to need a player like him if you're going to be a winning program. That's obviously what the Knicks want to be. And so that's why I always kind of pump the brakes when RJ struggles a little bit. I try not to have that knee-jerk reaction of, oh, you got to get him out of here, just because his body of work and the way he approaches the game. I think you have a little faith that he's going to figure things out when he's slumping, and I think you've seen that over the last few weeks. We got a question from @TuloTech. @TuloTech wants to know about Emmanuel Quickley's extension. And @TuloTech thinks that if Quickley gets to restricted free agency, he's looking at a $100 million contract. And if you look at the numbers, I don't have any indication yet on talks or anything like that, but look at the numbers, and I think that, yeah, he would get there because of past contracts and the way he has played. And I think if you're the Knicks, probably behooves you to try to get something done this summer that you feel good about and he feels good about, because you go into next year with him looking at restricted free agency. And if he plays next year the way that he has this season, he's going to be getting serious interest on the open market. And, it's only natural, I think, for a player to feel a certain way about the team that didn't extend him that summer, given how Quickley has played this year. I'm not saying Quickley would have any ill feelings. I'm just saying I could understand if he would, if the Knicks didn't come with a big, significant offer for him as an extension candidate this summer. And you look at some past deals, Kevin Porter, 4 years, $63 million with the Rockets. Keldon Johnson, 4 years, $74 million, Spurs. So just a couple numbers to throw out there in recent deals for young players, where Emmanuel Quickley, not apples to apples comparison with either of those players, but you just look at the numbers and you look at the age, and maybe that's some of what would be part of the conversation for those Quickley extension talks. That'll do it for this edition of Begley's Mailbag here on SNY.TV, but please keep those questions coming, because we will have another edition coming up soon here.